Good morning, friends. This class is going to be one of the important classes for us because we are going to discuss on the Roman religion. In the last few classes, we did discuss about the significance of the early church and its contribution with regard to the society, culture, and its religion. But this class is going to be a little more informative about the Roman religion because in the last few classes I've been explaining about how the culture and religion and the church would go in one line by which we understand that significances, merits and demerits, pros and cons, and to understand how the church in midst of all this critical situations or turmoil or tensions, pressures and forces all around. In the midst of this, how the church was able to move on and on. That was our whole idea of understanding this particular concept. But today, one of the important things that we have to identify is this. What is this? Simply to understand the Roman religion. Sometimes this class might give you the other perspective of understanding the Roman religion. Nevertheless, I may try to give you a kind of a brief snapshot of the Roman religion itself. Okay, I have some slides with pictures and all about Roman religion. May I show you those slides, and that will definitely help you to understand the class better. Okay, let's go to some of the slides that I have for you. The topic is nothing but, which I mentioned already, about Roman religion. Okay, this is what going to be discussion, number one. And the Roman religion was centered around gods, and explanations for events usually involved the gods in some way or another. They believed in the local deities, local gods, right? The Romans believed that gods control their lives and as a result spent a great deal of the time worshipping them. See, the two important things. One is Roman religion was centered around God, and the explanation usually involved in God in some way or another. So the explanation about God has been involved in one or another way. That's number one. Number two is Roman believed the gods control their lives, and the result of it, they spend a great deal of their worshipping them. So the controlling factor is all about God. So they believe the gods, polytheistic perspective of understanding the different dimensions of God, understanding the different roles and the functions of God, which means a particular God I worship, that particular God would be controlled of the fact that I survive, the control of the fact that I have finances and the financial resources and so on and so forth, which means like in terms of war, in terms of finance, in terms of peaceful atmosphere, in terms of healthy lifestyle, in terms of the peaceful amicable situation to engage into the circle that I live to. All this are controlled by gods. Okay, so they believed each god for each functions. Okay, may I explain to you much more than what we are talking about? Okay, you can look at the god of Jupiter. Okay, so he was a king of gods. He ruled with his wife Juno, the goddesses of sky. So you can understand now he is a king of gods, and he ruled with his wife, and she was considered to be a goddesses of the sky. So that is also sacred animal for this is an eagle. You got it now. So what they do is like a goddess of sky. So anything that happens in around the world, and if you understand this is because of the sky that I see, then immediately you would say, well, this is because of the god Jupiter, and or the Jupiter's wife Juno. Okay, this is where the people start embracing the religion. People start worshiping God and goddesses. This is number one. Number two is Mars, god of war. So if you go to war, you go to worship the Mars. For example, the Tamil culture. In a Tamil culture, the people worship um, Lakshmi or worship Saraswati. See, they worship these goddesses simply because to get education. simply because to get some financial blessing. Financial blessing. So they have a god or goddesses to particularly concentrate on one particular functions. So therefore they worship to the god. So also the Rome culture is something very different. They look at the god of war as a Mars. Okay. Now the religion of Roman army. So the Roman army, whenever the war appears, the Romans are very particular in nature of worshipping this Mars because they understand he is a god of war. Meaning he would give you strength, he would give the caliber, you would give the energy, you will give the potentials by which you will able to move on and get success. You will not be defeated. So you will give the victory and the victory upon victory, and you will become more than victorious person, more than conquerors. That is the basic understanding of this particular religion is all about. So Mars. Let's move on to this Mercury, the messengers of gods. So they understand messenger of God. So he gives you communication. He gives you kind of a notification what's supposed to be done, what's supposed not to be done, what to be seen and what not to be seen. All these messages have been come out of this. So the messenger of gods, messenger of gods. And again, the mercenary became associated with this, especially with the commerce and the trade. So the people, those who engage in commerce and trade. See, the last few classes I did mention about the Roman significance of trade route and commerce, which was one of the milestones of that. So therefore, it is very important for us to figure out the fact that these people are in a position to worship God for commerce, for trade, for any kind of dealing with regard to money, dealing with regard to the goods that they sell out, that they export or import, whatever financial resources that are needed for this kind of work to be implemented, and what is something the resources that they're looking forward. And if they are having any lacuna, any kind of lackadaisical scenario, they would look forward to worship this god of messenger, the mercy, Mercury, so that they may have a stability in their work, in their business, in their commerce, or in their trade. Okay, I think probably you did understand what I mean to say. Okay, particularly the corn trade. As a result, many merchants and tradesmen were devoted to it. See, the corn trade was one of the significant trades that the Rome was initiating. And in the initial process of this, they would worship the god of messenger, Mercury, so that they may have very feasible life. They may have a very conducive platform by which they will have a genuine transaction. Okay. Now the Neptune, okay, god of the sea. See, god of the sea. Now, if you are a fisherman, you would not try to worship Jupiter or Mercury, but rather you will worship the Neptune simply because you understand he's a god of sea, meaning this god has a control over sea. This god control over the waves. This god have a control over all the things that are taking place in the ocean, in the sea, in the sea. Okay. Now, Neptune was likely associated with the freshwater springs before the sea. Now, again, any calamity, any catastrophe, or any kind of a natural, epidemic that you encounter, you would probably bend your knees to Neptune, so that the Neptune, the god who will be able to engage into the process of letting you out. Therefore, you would not look forward to have another god to be worshipped, another person to come and forward and to worship Mercury or a Jupiter. Rather, you will try to worship the Neptune simply because of the fact that he is a god of waters, or god of oceans, or god of sea, or god of rivers, whatever you can give the name you might give. Okay, Neptune. Let's move on to Janus. Okay, two-headed, you can see the god of doorway, god of doorway, two-headed. You see the head focusing on the eastern side or western side, or southern side or the northern side. So it's a god of doorway. Okay, so Janus is an ancient Roman composite, obscure god who is associated with the doorways, beginning and transitions. See, Janus is an ancient Roman composite, obscure god who is associated with the doorways. So they are associated with the doorways, meaning the pathway, meaning direction, meaning institutional affairs, okay, beginning and transition. So get this idea very clear. So if they want to have a pathway, if they want to see some doors are to be opened, if they want to see some paths are to be disclosed, and if they want to see some ways in which they want to move out, they would look forward to worship the god of doorway, none other than Janus. So the doorway, beginning and transition, meaning you will be led in, and also you will have the process by which you will be moving left and right without any kind of a distraction, any kind of dejection, any kind of a kind of setback. Rather, your transition will go and on, by which end of the day you will be able to be in a position to attain the destination. So they will worship the god of Janus. Okay. Usually the two-faced, you can look at here, he looks at the future and the past. Okay, future and the past, which means like the past failure experience can be turned into success simply because of the Janus, because the Janus knows the past and the future, your failures and your success. Maybe you have the success and you are praying to god of the doorway, the Janus, and the Janus would like to see that how will you be more successful than ever before. So if it is a painful experience, how the painful experience will be will be changed into a gainful experience. So the Janus will help. So the concept is like the concept of January and the janitor are the both based on aspect of Janus. So you understand the concepts of Janus, beginning. So the month of January is a concept that has been derived from kind of a Janus that we are talking about, the god of doorway. So put it in nutshell, the god of Janus is the one who starts, who finishes, because the god of a doorway, the Janus, knows about your future, so also knew about your past tense. Therefore, the present life, the past, and the future would be gathered in the process of understanding the god Janus. My dear friends, very important to identify that transition takes place from the beginning to an end. It's all about the god of Janus. Okay, let's move on to the next important things, the god of Diana. The Diana was a goddess of un and of the moon. You look at this picture here, hunting style. The posture stands here shows a hunting style. A Diana was a goddess. Okay, being associated with the wild animals, woodland, and having the power to talk to and control animals. See, this goddess is being associated with wild animals, wood, and also in the process of controlling animals. For example, you have been chased by an animal and you understand of the fact that you may not able to overcome that animal with the potential and capacity that you have. Rather, what you do is you would pray to the god, you would pray to the goddesses. The question comes is, to whom are you going to address to? Who is that god? Who is that goddesses? That's the biggest question that you are posting. So in order to answer that question, very important fact is that about the goddesses called Diana. Diana. Okay, get this things straight in your mind. God of hunt and the moon. Let's look at about this. This goddesses has the potential, has the capacity to control the animals, to look at the animals in a way that it pressurized. The pressure, the power that is being let out by the animal will be controlled by this goddesses. Supposing I pray unto the goddesses, that is one of the beliefs of the Roman citizen. I think you are having some clarity of understanding this. The Vesta. Probably the question that you ask is like, hey, what is the point of learning all this god and goddesses of Roman religion? So you need to understand the people heart. Suppose you want to preach about Jesus Christ, you want to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to an Hindu, you should able to understand what is Hinduism to a certain extent. By that, you will able to contribute to the understanding mind of the Hindu. For example, you talk about incarnation. The incarnation concept is very similar with regard to Hinduism. But the point here is the understanding of the Hinduism With regard to the incarnational understanding is not something that talking about the single incarnation. They have the series of incarnation. There are several incarnation in Hinduism, but rather we are trying to discuss about one incarnation, the goddess of earth. Got it? And now we talk about the Vesta, is the virgin of goddesses of the earth, home, and family in Roman religion. See, understand about the goddesses of earth, home, and family in Roman religion. So, the only God, either God or goddesses could be worshipped in the Roman religion. It's a family god, for example. Vesta is a family god. As a family, father, mother, children sit together or kneel down and just worship the goddesses. Okay, the Vesta is the goddesses of the family god. We call a family god, Kula Deva. We call it in Tamil in our own language here. We say it's the local deity. The deity that is being worshipped by the family members. So if you are, as a family, you would probably worship Vesta because a kind of a family god, a kind of you feel at home when you worship this particular god, that the goddess. That's what. The importance of Vesta is Roman religion is indicated by the prominence of the priesthood devoted to her. The Vestal virgins, the Romans' only college of full-time priests. See, it's kind of a priesthood devoted to the Vestal virgins. Okay, that's kind of a virtual kind of understanding, like a goddess is a pure god, is a virgin. This gods need to be worshipped, a pure spirit. So if you worship this particular god, the family will be pure, and our lifestyle will be pure, and the transition will be very clear, and so on. Next one is called Minerva, uh, goddesses of healing and wisdom. So if you want to have healing and wisdom, you need to have the goddesses of healing and wisdom. Minerva, that's the idea. She was born from the garden of Jupiter with weapons. She was born from the garden of Jupiter with weapons. Okay. So the second important thing that we are going to have is wisdom and healing. What is wisdom and healing? Wisdom is from above. That's what our belief is. What is healing? If you are sick, if you are moving away from the sickness successfully, then you are healed. That process called healing process, the goddesses of healing. So if you want to have healing, if you are sick and if you are bedridden and the sickness and unhealthy atmosphere does not lead you to have a kind of soothing atmosphere in the family circle, maybe within your own lifestyle, then you are looking desperately for healing. During the time, the goddess of healing will jump into your life and you will be changed. Wisdom. Wisdom is the one which you speak right word at right time, at the right people. It's called wisdom. So if you worship this Minerva, you will be understanding the fact that okay, you are worshiping God, and this God is going to, or this goddess is going to give you wisdom. Okay, so with the guarded of Jupiter of weapons. Okay, you can see some of the pictures here. You can see about the goddesses which I mentioned thus far. You can see the pictures of those goddesses which I mentioned. There are some more goddesses, but I'm not going to bring all those goddesses here. You can see this picture. You can also download this picture. These pictures are available in the Google. You can just put the god and goddesses of Rome. You will able to see, and you can have this picture. One more picture that I will show and then finish this. So this is some kind of things like you can see about this Phoenician gods and Isis, Cybele, Epona, all these things you have here. And then again you have the local gods. See, may I read it out, this particular portion, then I will wind up the class. You see a local gods. When the Romans conquered the new area, they took their gods with them. Locals were not forced to adapt Roman gods, but they were often curious about them. Native deities merged with the Roman ones, so the local versions of state gods emerged all over the empire. See, when Rome conquered certain places, and the conquered people, when they come into Roman territory, they also do have, the strangers do have the local deities. The Rome did not oppose, did not bring any kind of rejection to it. Therefore, a little later, these gods and the intermingling of the people converted this god as a Roman god. This is where the Rome has a lot of god and goddesses. Friends, the question here is, how does this help us to understand the church? How does, okay, this is the concept. This is an idea of people, okay, about the God and goddesses. Okay, this helped the Christianity. Even last class when we talked about slavery, Paul was talking about slavery. Okay, when sexual immorality, Paul was talking about it. When citizenship and rulership, Paul was talking about, and the gladiatorial understanding, Paul was talking about. So all these things they were looking at. The Paul was very keenly attaching himself to the society, the context. Then he was trying to project that and giving a new meaning and new idea, new concept, which is ultimate concept in Christ. So understanding about these Roman gods and their projection and their identity will certainly help us to understand the fact that this is where the early church fathers or the early Christians did understand one way or another in order to propagate the Christianity. So the forthcoming classes will give you more understanding and shed more light on this perspective and let you have the clear understanding and more clarity on this particular issue. So with this, I would like to end up the class and I will be back with the new ideas and new thoughts definitely the next class. If you have any doubts, any clarifications, I kindly request in the live session when it comes, you can ask. You are having all liberty to ask. Okay, until then, God will definitely bless you and God will give you all wisdom to understand the class better. Thank you.